Rules for happiness: something to do, someone to love, something to hope for. If you punish a child for being naughty, and reward him for being good, he will do right merely for the sake of the reward, and when he goes out into the world and finds that goodness is not always rewarded, nor wickedness always punished, he will grow into a man who only thinks about how he may get on in the world, and does right or wrong according as he finds advantage to himself. But a lie is a lie, and in itself intrinsically evil, whether it be told with good or bad intents. Always recognize that human individuals are ends, and do not use them as means to your end. Enlightenment is man's leaving his self-caused immaturity. Immaturity is the incapacity to use one's intelligence without the guidance of another. Such immaturity is self-caused if it is not caused by lack of intelligence, but by lack of determination and courage to use one's intelligence without being guided by another. Sapere aude. Have the courage to use your own intelligence, is therefore the motto of the Enlightenment. Most men use their knowledge only under guidance from others because they lack the courage to think independently using their own reasoning abilities. It takes intellectual daring to discover the truth. Give a man everything he wants, and at that moment everything is not everything. Two things fill the mind with ever new and increasing admiration and awe: the oftener and more steadily we reflect on them, the starry heavens above me and the moral law within me. All our knowledge begins with the senses, proceeds then to the understanding, and ends with reason. There is nothing higher than reason. Morality is not properly the doctrine of how we may make ourselves happy, but how we may make ourselves worthy of happiness. Democracy is necessarily despotism, as it establishes an executive power contrary to the general will, all being able to decide against one whose opinion may differ. The will of all is therefore not that of all, which is contradictory and opposite to liberty. Laziness and cowardice explain why so many men remain under a lifelong tutelage, and why it is so easy for some men to set themselves up as the guardians of all the rest. If I have a book which understands for me, a pastor who has a conscience for me, a doctor who decides my diet, I need not trouble myself. If I am willing to pay, I need not think. Others will do it for me. Man's duty is to improve himself, to cultivate his mind, and, when he finds himself going astray, to bring the moral law to bear upon himself. Space and time are the framework within which the mind is constrained to construct its experience of reality. The question is not so much whether there is life on Mars as whether it will continue to be possible to live on Earth. I shall never forget my mother, for it was she who planted and nurtured the first seeds of good within me. She opened my heart to the lasting impressions of nature, she awakened my understanding and extended my horizon, and her percepts exerted an everlasting influence upon the course of my life. If we knew that God exists, such knowledge would make morality impossible. For, if we acted morally from fear or fright, or confident of a reward, then this would not be moral. It would be enlightened selfishness. Genius is the ability to independently arrive at and understand concepts that would normally have to be taught by another person. Every man is to be respected as an absolute end in himself, and it is a crime against the dignity that belongs to him as a human being, to use him as a mere means for some external purpose. Marriage is the union of two people of different sexes with a view to the mutual possession of each other's sexual attributes for the duration of their lives. Two things strike me dumb: the infinite starry heavens, and the sense of right and wrong in man. If we could see ourselves, as we really are, we should see ourselves in a world of spiritual natures, our community which neither began at birth nor will end with the death of the body. He who is cruel to animals becomes hard also in his dealings with men. We can judge the heart of a man by his treatment of animals. Religion is too important a matter to its devotees to be a subject of ridicule. If they indulge in absurdities, they are to be pitied rather than ridiculed. Moral teleology supplies the deficiency in physical teleology, and first establishes a theology, because the latter, if it did not borrow from the former without being observed, but were to proceed consistently, could only found a demonology, which is incapable of any definite concept. There is a limit where the intellect fails and breaks down, and this limit is where the questions concerning God and free will and immortality arise.